My friends always say about me, give them it for a week and something weird's going to happen. This past week was no exception. This is a brand new paranormal experience I am sharing right here on my channel. You are the first to learn about it. Stay tuned and discover what happened when I heard a mysterious voice at bedtime that ended up prompting my husband to have a specific type of dream when he didn't hear the voice, and I did not tell him about the voice because he was already sleeping. Welcome to True Tales of the Paranormal. I'm Nefer Kefri, your hostess with the ghostess. Today's paranormal experience was shared by myself and my husband on Sunday. I am recording this Monday, March is it the 30th? Yeah, I think it's the last day of March of 2025. Gosh, the year is just flying. This is what happened. My husband tends to go to bed earlier than I do, only because he wakes up to go to work earlier than I do. And so he was already sound asleep when I carefully sneak into bed to lie down to go to sleep myself. And you know how you're laying there and you reach that liminal state? That's the halfway point between sleeping and awake. You're not fully awake, but you're not asleep yet. You're still aware of your surroundings and any little household noises that may be occurring at the time. So there I was in that state. And just when I was going to slip into those few minutes where you drift off to sleep, I hear this voice, a very distinct male voice, and it asked me a question. It said, if you had the ability to travel back in time, would you change anything? I'm laying there trying to get to sleep. That is the last time of the day when you want to have any deep thoughts. You know what I'm saying? That just gets your brain squirreling around and you're just like, trying to come up with these scenarios. And so I'm laying there and I go, what? And then there was no reply. And so I kind of laid there a few seconds. And then I hear, well, what's your answer? Now, I have to preface this by saying I am a very spiritual person. I'm a mystical person. I am a spiritual practitioner. I have been involved in spirituality since the late 70s. I'm a professional card reader. And so I tend to hear guiding voices of my angels and my spirit guides at odd times like that. And what happens is people who ask me, how do I connect with my angels? How do I connect with my spirit guides? The time to connect is that liminal time between wake and sleep. That's when they reach out to us. And then also in our dreams. So I realized what was going on. I always say my prayers at bedtime. I always ask for protection. I'm never worried about anything evil or dark getting in. So I'm laying there and I'm like, well, I said to whoever it was, I said, if I were to change something that might alter my chances of meeting my husband and of us having our daughter. So I said, no, based upon that alone, I wouldn't change anything about my past. And coming up with an answer on quick notice like that also put my mind at rest. So I'm not there thinking about it. Well, what would I do? How far back in time would I go? What would I change? The options are endless, absolutely endless. And so I lay there and I go to sleep and I have a very restful night. I also had a lot of dreams that night. I dreamt about people I didn't know. I've been doing that a lot lately. I'm not sure what's up with that. But anyway, the next morning, it's yesterday, it's Sunday morning, and we're downstairs in the kitchen, my husband and I. And he says to me, you know how I never have any notable dreams? I never talk about my dreams. I said, yes. He goes, I do dream. It's just that they're never notable. They're never worth talking about. They're just everyday things like I'm going to work or I'm driving in my car. or something. Whereas with me, I have wild adventure dreams. I tell him about my dreams, and he's like, "You're so crazy," But well, what can you do? I have cool dreams. I enjoy my dream life very much. So he tells me, "Well, I finally had a notable dream." So this catches my attention. So I'm like, "Okay, tell me about it." And my husband, his name is Stuart, he said, "In the dream, I'm with my grandmother." Now, his grandmother, she passed away a few years ago at the age of 95, and she was always really healthy right up until toward the end. At the age of 85, she painted her entire house by herself, the exterior of her house. Okay, just to give you an idea of how tough this woman was. She had 7 kids. you know she was a very tough lady, but she was also a kind woman and greatly loved by everyone, including me. So I said to my husband, "Well, what about this dream?" Because I often do dream about his grandmother. And when I dream about her, it's more like visitations. And she'll come to me and be like, you know, reach out to your daughter. She's not feeling too great right now. I mean, my daughter suffers from anxiety. So having that type of a dream isn't that unusual. But then when I do contact my daughter, she'll say to me, "Oh, this is so weird. I had a dream about Gigi last night." That's who she called grandmother, because grandmother was my daughter's great grandmother. So Gigi for short. And she'd say, "I had a dream about Gigi last night, and she said you'd be calling me." And I, "Oh, really?" And then I would tell her, "Well, I had a dream about Gigi, and Gigi told me to call you." And she was like, "Wow, really?" And then, we have a little, aha moment about that and how weird and everything. And then we would, discuss whatever we were going to talk about. So I'm thinking to myself, it's very unusual for my husband to dream about his grandmother. And I don't remember him ever telling me of having a dream about her. And like I said, I dream about her on not a really regular basis. I'd say every so often, maybe every couple of months or so. And so I said to him, "Okay, well, what happened?" And he said that in the dream, he was at his grandmother's home. She lived in West Texas. And he said that she went out for a run. Now, that's why I had to preface this with his grandmother was a really strong, tough woman. She didn't run, but in his dream, she went out for a run. And he said, but during the run, she died. And I'm like, "Oh, Stuart, that's awful." And he says, "No, no, let me finish, let me finish." And so somehow in the dream, he was given the power to go back in time. Now I'm standing here in the kitchen making breakfast.
What are the odds? Am I right? What are the odds? I would hear a voice prior to falling asleep asking me about time travel. And my husband ends up having a dream about it. I don't know. It's crazy. So he's telling me he's had the opportunity to travel back in time to the time when his grandmother is going to pass away during her run. Meanwhile, I'm standing there at the stove trying not to freak out, and then I tell him, "I've got something really weird to tell you." And he says, "What else is new?" We both laugh. He continues on with his dream. In his dream, he's traveled back in time to a little while before his grandmother is going to go out on this ill-fated run of hers. So he goes to the spot where he knows that she passed away and waits for her to show up. Sure enough, she shows up at the appointed time, and whatever happens to cause her to pass away, it happens. But my husband is there to say some final words to her as she's passing away, and he holds her in his arms as she dies. And he told me that, and it was like, I wanted to cry. I want to cry right now telling you. I dearly, dearly loved grandmother. I never had my own grandmother. Both of mine passed away when I was a little baby. I never knew either one of them. And I was the only one of all the grandchildren in-laws ever allowed to call her grandmother. Everyone else had to call her by her first name. That was because my husband was her first grandchild, and she always referred to him as her number one. When our daughter was born, she became the first great-grandchild. So she would always refer to our daughter as her second number one. I guess I was some sort of number one to her because, like I said, I was the only one allowed to call her grandmother out of all of her in-laws. And this woman had 7 children, and I don't even know how many grandchildren. A lot. So he recounts his story, and we're both feeling kind of sad from it, you know, and someone's touching my ear. I'm not kidding, someone's touching my ear. Anyway, maybe it's grandmother, I don't know, it's weird. But so then I tell him, well, I've got something really weird to tell you. And he says, okay, what else is new, you know? And I said, before I went to sleep that night, I heard a voice say, if you had the chance to go back in time, would you change anything? And my husband's eyes about bugged out of his head. You've got to understand something about my husband. He is a non-believer. He doesn't believe in anything that I do, and he ridicules most of it, but he was genuinely freaked out over that. And he's like, really? I said, yes. And, you know, and I couldn't say anything to you because you were already asleep. So there's no way you could have known that. He says, yeah, you're right. There's absolutely no way. I was dead asleep. He says, I don't even know what time you went to bed last night. And I said, exactly. So we kind of sat there a minute, pondering, you know, what had happened. Neither one of us could explain it. You know, my husband, you know, being, you know, a practical, down-to-earth Virgo who is a former banker, you know, he said, well, it was probably some really bizarre coincidence. And I'm like, that's a little too coincidental for my tastes, you know? I said, I see a much larger hand in all this. And he's like, well, what would the purpose be? I go, I don't know. Maybe just to draw our attention to the fact that this type of thing happens. I don't know. I've never experienced this with anyone else when it comes to thinking of something or seeing something, and then that event, that sensory input, ends up being a part of someone else's dream. That's never happened before. I've had shared dreams with friends when I was growing up. That's happened to me, but not this particular phenomena, and I don't even know what you would call it. Does anyone know? Does it have a name? When one person hears something psychically, you know, I am a clairaudient. That's what it means. When you're able to hear the voice of angels and spirit guides, it's clairaudient or clear hearing. So is there a name for this? Someone has a bit of clairaudience and their partner who's next to them, somehow that affects them? I don't know. You tell me. Have you ever experienced anything like this? I don't know. So thank you for watching. I'm Nefer Kefri, your hostess with the Ghostess, wishing you a blessed day ahead.